Final score, Wisconsin 103, Arizona 88 inside the Kohl Center. Norlander, did you ever think you'd live long enough to see Wisconsin score 100 points against a ranked opponent? Because in your lifetime before Friday, it had never happened.
Then I got to say no. This is a wow. Credit to Wisconsin for getting this done, winning like this. I'm not going to say the game was unwatchable, but the game was hard to remain consistently engaged in because there were 87 free throws. 87 free throws. Credit to Wisconsin for getting it done. They went 41 of 47 from the line as a team, GP. The Badgers are shooting 90% from the charity stripe through 2 weeks of the season. That's best in the entire country there. So that was a major reason. John Tonje, who goes for, how about this? He had 41. He went 21 of 22 from the line. Transfer from Missouri, originally from Colorado State. It was the first time a Wisconsin player had put up a 40-burger since Frank the Tank Kaminsky did 11 years ago. I actually remember writing about, I remember that game. I remember writing about that game for CBSSports.com. Coincidentally enough, Kaminsky was in the building on Friday night because they were honoring Bo Ryan, who was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame just last month. So Frank's in the building. Tonje goes for 40 plus, and Wisconsin gets it done in a way that I truly don't think anyone, and I mean anyone, not Greg Gard, no one on the staff, none of the play. There's no way they thought they were getting to 100 against Arizona, and an Arizona team that I had mentioned on the Friday preview pod was coming off, granted, a mid-major opponent, but one of its best 40-minute defensive efforts it had in recent years, and its best period ever under Tommy Lloyd. Instead, here, Wisconsin never trails, averages 1.26 points per possession, which if anytime you're cruising above 1.2, you're doing just fine. 1.26 there. And, you know, Bucky kind of turned off Arizona's water midway through the second half. The game at one point got tied in the mid 60s. I think I had 65 or something like that in my notes. And from that point on, Arizona missed 21 of its 25 field goal attempts down the stretch there. It just didn't have it. Credit to Greg Gard for getting a really, really good win. I got a couple more notes on him, but I'll save it for in a second. Give me your thoughts on what transpired on Peacock in the second game. The Bama Purdue game was the first game on Peacock. This was the second one, and I thought it had a decent chance of being close, and it was kind of, but it was way more like every time down the floor there was a freaking whistle, and that was unfortunate. But regardless, when we get to evaluating NCAA tournament resumes in March, GP, we're not going to remember or care about the fact that there were 87 foul calls or 87 free throws. It felt like 87 foul calls. We're going to see that Wisconsin was able to get what's likely to be a Q1 win against Arizona, and this could be the kind of win that changes our perception, maybe changes our perception on the Badgers, who were not projected to be a tournament team by many coming into the season.
Would you have moved them if you were dumb enough to rank basketball teams every morning into the top 25 and 1? Because I did.
Well, okay, I think that's fair. Now it depends on how you at some point you hit a threshold where you start doing true on resume stuff in your top 25 and 1 in that preseason prognostications, and I know you haven't come close to hitting that yet. But if we're ranking the 10 to 12 best wins in the country through 2 weeks, Wisconsin clearly has one of them, and I think that's entirely fair. They played Arizona, they brought them into the building. You put 103, which you'd never done against a ranked team. Period. Never hit 100 plus in a game period against a ranked team. They were able to do it. I think that's entirely fair.
Yeah, I moved them up to 17, Arizona down to 18. I mean, the issue would be Arizona's got incredible computer numbers and was just brave enough to play a true road game early when most other elite teams won't. Mm-hmm. And so they take a loss. It would seem silly to have Arizona unranked right now, but like also silly to have them behind a team that just beat them by 15 points and is undefeated. So, and Wisconsin's got solid computer numbers, not as strong as Arizona, but it's not. I'm not way out of line with the computers to have Wisconsin in the top 25 and 1. So I moved them there. Obviously, the story is scoring 103. That's the most ever against a ranked opponent. They had scored 100 against a ranked opponent before, but the last time they did that, it was like back in 1970. Yeah. One year before Red Mackey died following complications of a stroke at the age of 65, the dean of Big Ten ADs. Tonje gets 41. That's the secondary story. I need Jared Burson to Look this one up for me.
Mm.
When's the last time this dude averaged 2.6 points last year at Missouri? When's the last
Was it really that low? He was.
Yeah,
he was.
he only played 8 games. He got hurt.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did get hurt. That's right.
He had a foot injury, so he only appeared in 8 games. But I wonder how many Division I players have averaged 2.6 one season and then got 41 or more the next.
That's a good question. I'm going to say I have no idea. I'm going to say it's happened at least once, but that is quite the
I'm sure it has happened, but it seems like it would be uncommon. So he was terrific. You mentioned the 21 of 22 from the free throw line. We'll see where it goes from here. But if you're the Big Ten, the best 2 leagues in the country this year are supposed to be the SEC and the Big 12, and Purdue goes out and beats Alabama, and then
I know, small sample size, and where were the games held?
Of course. But like if you're a Big Ten fan, that's probably something you'd know. Every time somebody tells you ain't won a championship since 2000, maybe you can tell them you were knocking around, some pretty good teams over the weekend.
Fair enough. This was the 13th time that Wisconsin beat a top 10 opponent under Greg Gard in the past 10 years. It's a pretty good stat in Gard's favor. And I think that a case could be made that he was potentially hot seat material. Could be if they don't make the tournament. This win will mean a ton here. And winning by 15 points. The last time Bucky beat a top 10 team by at least 15 was back in 2010 when they beat 5th-ranked Michigan State by 18 points. And they made 41 foul shots in this game. They had not made that many since it actually tied the mark. They made 41, number 41. They made 41 in 1955 against Illinois. Not even TV to see that go down there. Good stuff from the Badgers. You get the win by any means necessary, and they didn't even need to scrape by. That was good stuff. For Arizona, Caleb Love only had 6 in this game. Things that make you go, Jaden Bradley did have 22. Trey Townsend had 17. Tommy Lloyd, understandably, invisibly frustrated as they really started to, go dry in the second half there. Just one game on the road. Next for Arizona, they're going to host Duke Friday night. I will be in the building there, see how they respond to that one. Don't want to go 0-2 in those spots, but Duke should provide a pretty interesting challenge there. Good for the Big Ten, good for Wisconsin. Wait and see on if this is truly an indicator of a Badgers team that can overshoot expectations.